how exciting to have you join us today in this forum, your favorite forum, that is Kingdom Business Network. In this forum, we talk about business, especially business growth and wealth creation. It's about money matters, it's about life, it's about bringing transformation through our businesses wherever we are. You realize that all of us, in one way or another, we are in business. Whether you're employed, whether you own a business, an entrepreneur, whatever it is you're doing in life. If you're trying to meet a need, solve a problem, you are in business. So I really want to appreciate you joining us and most welcome to this forum. It's going to be great today. We have wonderful people that have joined us today, people that have a whole lot of experience in business, and they'll be sharing about their journey and how far they've come in the world of business, both locally and internationally. And before I introduce them, I have my co-host here, Dr. Francis Mungai. He can greet us. How is it going?
Oh, the going is fine. Viewer, I'd like to welcome you to KBN this morning. We had a wonderful week as a country. You can see the dollar is becoming weaker, or rather the Kenya shilling is becoming stronger. That means that with some hope. So input cost, we expect it to go down in the world of business. So yes, we had a wonderful week, Bishop.
I heard somebody say some people are happy when the dollar is stronger, others are happy when the Kenya shilling is stronger. So for you, are you happy? Or?
Yes, yeah, that's a good one, because if you are an importer, then you're happy when the shilling is stronger. But if you are an exporter, then you want the reverse. But you see, Kenya, we are just net importers. So as a country, as a net importer, then means that we want a stronger shilling. Yeah.
And for sure, that's why we're talking about business, because we encourage entrepreneurship. We encourage our people to get into business, create business, grow the businesses. I know we import a lot, from the biggest percentages, what we bring from other countries. But we're also looking to a time when we can actually be the one, exporting most of the stuff. But that's a story for another day. Well, with me today also is Professor Lucas Jenga. Maybe some of you may have met him, others maybe he's new. Hey, Professor, karibu.
Asante sana.
How is it going?
The going is great. Just as my brother has said, I think this country is headed for a much, much better position. My estimates as an economist is that we are headed to the right direction in the building of our economy, and particularly the excitement of engagement both in the construction industry, manufacturing industry, agribusiness, and even the expansion in tourism. You can start seeing, I was just in the coast last week and saw jets landing into the country, private jets landing into Mombasa every other day from Eastern Europe and other countries that have not been familiar with our country. And that says right there that there's something that other people are seeing that we are not seeing. And that's, for me, exciting.
Wonderful.
Wow, that's exciting. That for you, things are headed the right direction.
Yes.
But all we hear today is people complaining, well, there's no hope, the cost of living and all that. As an economist, what do you have to say about that?
Yeah, I think narratives are made by leaders. So if our leaders choose to create a narrative of doom, then that's what people believe, that's what they talk, that's what they eat, and that's what they become. If you give a narrative of hope, you become positive, you become energetic, and you look forward to opportunities and progress, both in life and in the society. And for me, I advocate for the latter because I've not seen hopelessness help anybody. Whether they like it or not, when there is a state of hopelessness, it doesn't help. So, yes, we have to be positive, but we don't just have to be positive, we have to be pragmatic. We have to look at what is actually happening and what does that look like. So don't wait for somebody to tell you things are good or bad. Just walk around the city of Nairobi or any other city in the country, see the construction work going on, see the infrastructure development, see the agricultural. I was just driving over the weekend in Nyandarua County, and you just see massive flower farms, massive agribusiness activities, and you can tell this is not the Kenya you had even 10 years ago. People are progressing on a database. So that's what should inform you. It's not what politicians or whoever stands on television and tells you. Don't let that inform your decision making. Open our. We need to open ourselves and see exactly the reality of life, and then inform our decision based on what we see and what we experience on a daily basis.
Well, I like that you choose the narrative to believe and to listen to.
Yeah.
Because everybody is talking,
Yes.
but not everybody is making sense.
Yes.
And of course, I like what you said, they've never seen hopelessness help anybody.
That's true.
So we need to keep hope alive.
Yes.
Hope for the best, pray for the best, and believe for the best.
That's right, yes.
We'll come back to you and tell us who is Professor Lucas Jenga before even we dive into business. But on my left here, we also have a guest. You can introduce yourself. Karibu sana to Faith Today.
Thank you. My name is Helen Jenga, Helen Wangoi Jenga, and I'm delighted to be with your TV.
Faith Today.
Faith Today. And I can just start feeling hope arising, because hope is the one that gives us even expectation. So we must always be expectant. And as we carry on, we'll talk about these things. We like talking about being positive about life and not being subjective. Don't allow the situation that you feel or you see or you hear around to be the one that is the driving force in your life. Look for your niche. Do work with diligence. Whatever is within your reach or your capacity, do it with diligence and remain hopeful, because there is a hope at the end of the tunnel. Therefore, let us continue to look up to those that are able to bring us to high levels of expectation. There is so much that is going on, and I was very happy to hear our president talking about the dollar going down, or rather our shilling appreciating, and that's a beautiful thing. Let us continue to look at what can we do. Let us educate ourselves. What is the government telling us? What opportunities are they creating, and what are they? What is their vision, and where can I hook where can I find my niche within that, as opposed to being carried away with the narratives that don't help you, or that maybe just bring hopelessness, or just a situation whereby you feel like you're helpless. Don't allow yourself to get to the place of helplessness. And let us know that everything that we need and require is here with us. We just need to devise a way and be diligent enough to look for it and pursue it.
Wow,
Yeah.
Thank you, Helen.
Thank you.
All we need is here with us. So
Yes.
it's not in the moon, it's not in the sun, it's right here with us. We just need to be hopeful, give the best, do the best, and things are gonna change. So if I may ask you, who is Helen? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your background, growing up, where were you born, and all that.
Yes. Okay. Helen is this beautiful lady here.
Indeed.
I thank God, because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I hail from Murang'a, Kangema Division.
Oh.
I don't know whether it's called that anymore.
Kangema, yeah.
Kangema, yes, Murang'a County. I lived in Murang'a until I was 10. Then I came to Nairobi when I was 11-ish. I did my studies here, then I went to boarding school, and then came back to Nairobi, did some, business here and there, and I was able to, I got married, then I lost a husband, then I found my way somewhere in the UK, and I got another husband by God's grace, and that's where I've lived for most of my life since 1994. I'm just beginning to come back, one foot in UK and one foot in Kenya, because they say east or west, Home is best, and I'm proving that as time goes by. I've never opposed it. I've always known that East or West home is best. And not to forget to say that I am married, and I got married to Lucas Jenga about 20 years ago, and he hails from Nakuru, so I can comfortably say I come from Nakuru. Yes, because his people shall be mine. Yes.
I like that. Wow, that's a whole book. You have in 3 minutes, you have narrated the whole book.
Yes.
Probably you need to write your story. Sounds like a very strong, deep, encouraging, motivating story that you need to write and people to hear. You have gone through so much. And in Murang'a, Nairobi, how was it growing up? Were you like, what kind of a family did you grow up in? Was it like a rich family, wealthy family? How was it?
I can say that, first of all, I grew up, like I told you, I grew up with country and city life, which is what I'm enjoying now, and I hoped for, over the years. I grew up during the time when our country had gained independence, and so many of the men went to Nairobi to look for work, while their wives were left behind, tending the pieces of land that they had been, given. So my mother was a subsistent farmer. We did coffee, tea, and whatever, mixed farming. And that was very, very interesting. It's a very special time for my life. I also grew up in the city. I've worked a lot in the farm. I've picked coffee, I've picked tea. I used to be very good at picking coffee. I could do a gunia, like 6 debes by myself, because I was very, very swift and I enjoyed it to the maximum. But I can tell you, obviously, I used to jump to the very best kahawa, the very ripe one, the coffee tree that is full of ripe beans. That's where I belonged.
Because you're paid as, how much you have harvested.
Well, we were not paid, but because we worked in our farm.
Oh, that's your farm. Okay.
Yeah, but we enjoyed. We enjoyed the work, and we used to get a lot of treats. The one we used to be paid is the one for picking. After everything has happened, there are those that get dropped on the floor. So after the coffee picking, then we would, pick those for a pay. Yes, we did.
Marupurupu.
Marupurupu. Yes, so we grew up working in the farm, which is a very, very good thing. And it's as a farmer, which I have ended up becoming over the years, I get amazed at how beautiful farming can be. It helps you to explore even who God is. Because how can you plant a seed and then get a whole cob of maize, and, all you did is plant, and palilia, weed it, and, it's amazing. So I grew up in a family, maybe not very wealthy, but we were not needy. I wouldn't say we were needy, but...
How many siblings?
We were 11 of us.
Wow.
From one mother. I am number 7 of them. And I delight...
11?
Yes, there was 11.
Today people are getting 1 or 2.
Yes.
Or even decide not to.
I wish I got 11 myself.
Oh.
But I didn't.
Maybe you still have a chance. Well,
thank you.
We'll come back and you tell us a little bit about, you have said I did some business here and there.
Yes.
We want to hear more about that. Let's come back to Professor Lucas and tell us a little bit of, who is Lucas?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I always find it a great privilege to tell my story because I know that my story is a story of transformation and impartation. So I was born in Nakuru, Kenya, in a small village called Njoro. Njoro is near the Egerton University, but quickly moved from that village and moved to Nakuru town, where my father set up some chains of businesses in my early childhood. So I lived in a family of businessmen and women. And so that's where I grew up and did my early primary education starting at the Armed Forces Training College in Lanet, then went to Michinda Boarding School in Elbagon, then went to Lanet High School, and on. I went to university and So my study career spins off. I don't think I've ever stopped studying. I'm still a student, so I'll not say when I stopped studying.
You are a professor. When are you studying?
I'm always very open to studying. But the other part of my life, which I think is part of my important story, is that besides being in the academia, as you have rightly said, I also found myself in the most promising part of life by becoming a Christian at the age of 9 through the influence of a great evangelist, T.L. Osborne from the United States, and the mentorship of Bishop Dr. Mark Kariuki, who was one of our lead Christian leaders from our city, who mentored young people from across many denominations. Following my career path and my ministry, I was the youngest Anglican minister to be ordained in this country. I think I was ordained at the age of 23. No, I was not married. I was just single, not searching, very focused, very focused in the gospel. Anything coming outside the gospel seemed to be an offense to me, although I really enjoyed business. So I started business when I was in secondary school. Wow. I started selling products to my fellow students, and then I started giving small loans to my teachers. And
you are loaning teachers money?
Teachers, yes, when I was in secondary school. Yeah, then so when I finished high school, I was very clear that I wanted to focus in ministry and I didn't want to be employed. So I set up my own revenue streams in agriculture, small agribusiness activities. And so I've been in ministry and in business and in academia for the longest part of my life. And I find them complementing each other very well. In the last, since when I was ordained, I was sent to the UK by the then late Archbishop Manasseh Kuria, and I've been in and out of the United Kingdom since 1991. And so that's where I've spent most of my adult life. As my wife said, we've started now putting one foot back home in Kenya, and we still have a foot in the diaspora, both in the UK and in the US and other parts of the world. In the UK, I worked a lot in the universities, most of my career life, and I enjoyed a lot of benefits and privileges of being a university, being involved in the university circles where there's a lot of exposure and opportunities. I've also led the diaspora community for almost 20 years now, just being creative and innovative in making sure that the Kenyan diaspora is leading in various activities, both in our social, spiritual, and economic activities for this nation. So I think that's a quick summary about where I am. I know I've left a lot of gaps, but we might fill them in between. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Yeah, just listening to you, I would want you to take us through what is wealth creation and how have you gone around creating wealth? What is it? Because I know there's a viewer there who is wondering what's wealth creation. I've heard you talk of multiple streams of income.
Yes.
I've heard you talk of employment.
Yeah.
I've heard you talk of business.
Yes.
But what is wealth creation? What is it and how do you create it?
Okay, I think wealth is that level of what you'd really call material development or self-actualization. So the first one is where you provide for yourself the basics, where they talk about food, shelter, clothing, food, and shelter. That's very basic, and you have not done anything when you feed yourself, when you give yourself shelter. That's what anybody does. Then you get riches. Riches is what you earn when you start now getting actualized in life. You start buying a house, maybe so owning your own shelter, not being worried about what you're eating, not being worried about the basic requirements of life. You are a rich person. Wealth is that which comes now and settles in you and with you over your life. You can either do it systematically, you can have a program, a process of becoming a wealthy person, or it can happen by chance. Unfortunately, very few people get wealthy by chance. So that one I can give in writing. There are very few, maybe the few people who are wealthy by chance is being born in a wealthy family or being part of the dynasties, as they call them, or maybe just getting a benefactor who loves you and just lives their wealth with you. But there's a systematic way of becoming wealthy. Many people traditionally in Africa have believed that you go to school, get good education, then get a good job, get employed, earn a salary, and then become wealthy. No, that is most unlikely. It happens, but also not. It's almost the same as chance. So you need to be strategic, and you need to know that you're going towards creating wealth. And that is something I learned very early. To be honest, at the age of 18, I started thinking very much about how can I be a wealthy person. And some of the things that came to my mind is that I have to save whatever I earn. It doesn't matter how much I earn, however little it is, I have to keep something aside, not for a rainy day, but for a wealthy day. I want to be a wealthy person, so I keep something on the side. And then very quickly I realized that what I keep on the side doesn't stay. It gets needs. Every so often there's a sick child, there's an elderly brother who has lacked school fees or whatever, so that goes quickly. So I started committing myself in assets. So every time I got a bit of savings, I would go and put a deposit for an asset. I started with real estate, and that was in my early 20s. Actually, at the age of 19, I bought my first piece of real estate. And I realized that when you commit yourself, it pulls whatever you have, it pulls your energy, it puts a demand on you in doing that. And so real estate was a big thing for me in the first 10 years of my life. And then I started learning about setting up businesses and possibly with a potential to selling those businesses. And that became, and I'm talking about my personal experience. There's a lot of books that you can read about wealth creation, but I'm just saying lived out experience in my own life. So I started setting up small businesses. I would just get a quick idea, pull the idea together, put a small business plan about it, look for resources, get it going. If I thought it's going very well, I would sell that idea to other people. So either people would invest in me, into the idea, or people would take over the idea and I get something out of it. And I can give some amazing illustrations of things that have come to my mind. I've visualized them, put them together, and then people have gotten interest. Sometimes they think they're kicking me out, so they say, what can we pay you to get you out of this? So I work it out. I spent maybe 2 million, give me 40 million. I'll be a bit upset for kicking me out, but I'll be fine. So wealth creation,
you'll be happy.
yeah, wealth creation is a process. It's not an overnight thing. You can't become wealthy by doing deals. I see a lot of people in this country want to do a deal here and a deal there because come easy, go easy. So if you get a big deal and get a lot of money with that deal, there'll be more things to spend. But getting wealthy is a discipline. It's something that you work on day by day. You make a lot of mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes myself. You'll be branded by people because you come sometimes with great ideas that don't work, and people now say, this is the guy of the big ideas. What they don't know is that out of about 10 big ideas, one of them works, and that's what makes you progress towards your wealth creation. So just to say the most effective ways of creating wealth that I've seen, number one is in real estate. That one is no-brainer. Many people enter into that, and if they're disciplined enough, they'll start by just buying land and subdividing and reselling it. Then they get into development, building houses, or just developing the pieces of land they have by putting infrastructure and selling. I've found that to be a very easy and straightforward way of working towards wealth creation. If you look in the United Kingdom, if you look at the monarchy and all those big world influencers, people like Bill Gates are buying tons and acres of land. Acres of land, and they keep that as their asset base. I could go to gold, and I don't think that's the subject for today. Is another good way of wealth creation where you buy gold. This kind of assets, they just build their own values. There is also endowments, and that's something that people don't talk a lot about in Kenya. But personally, I've realized endowment funds where you start just by putting little money when you're young. So say, even if it's just 5,000, 10,000, you put it into a policy, that grows, and maybe after 5 years, your money has almost doubled or whatever, depending on who you are putting your funds with. And those endowment policies, they keep your money away because you have like a 5-year commitment where you can't touch that money, but you're just putting every so often back into the endowment fund. That then gives you the capital, either for retirement or capital for entering into real estate or other processes. So wealth creation is an exciting thing. Once you get the grip of it, you start to isolate yourself, not in a negative way, but you can't follow the masses. If people are going to Dubai to buy whatever they're going to buy, or going to Beijing, you don't go with the flow because you have a structured process of creating your wealth, and you seem as if you're locked in that process because it's a long-term commitment. It's not a quick gain. It's not a rush through process. So that's my understanding.
So wealth creation is not by chance?
No, it's not by chance.
It's a process.
Yes.
It has to be intentional.
Yes.
I want to take you back
Yeah.
to something you said, which I believe I picked it as the first step.
Yes.
First of all, it's intentional.
Yeah.
Then you have to save.
Yes.
And then invest.
Yes.
I know there's a viewer here who is asking, how do I save?
Okay.
Might be I'm earning 50,000,
Yes.
and it's too little.
Yes.
How will I ever become wealthy? So maybe if you take us through your own personal experience on how did you start to save? Because I believe you didn't start saving when you were a millionaire.
No.
You started saving down there.
Right.
And you started to build your wealth.
Yes.
So how do you start? Because that's the first step.
Okay, that's exciting. This is not a conventional way, but it works, and I've seen it working across the board. So my saving culture was developed by my faith, because my faith demands I give 10% of anything I earn back to the Lord. So what I was doing is, say, my first salary, I can remember it quite well, it was 120 shillings. I was employed by the church, and I used per month.
Wow.
Yes, okay. I remember that. I remember when I first got it, I had to sign somewhere that I've received my money.
Wow.
And then I took 12 shillings as my tithe back to the church. Mm-hmm. And that culture for me was very important, that 10% of everything that I get goes back to church. And very quickly, I realized that what I'm taking back to church is not because it's a surplus. Every time my needs, by the way, your needs will always be more than what you earn. Even billionaires, if you sit here with 5 billionaires, they'll tell you they are a billion short. Millionaires, they are a million short. The others in their categories, everybody will always be short. There's no time your resources will exceed your needs. So because the more you get the resources, the bigger capacity you grow, the more exposure you have, the more people get to know you and get interested in you. So needs will always be there. So I learned very early, and this was from my elder brother. He said, if you can't give somebody something when you have 100 shillings, you can't give somebody something when you have 1,000 or 10,000. And so from tithing, the next big thing in my heart became generosity, just giving. I found myself that all the time when I have something, I want to give away. And so I had no attachment to the tithe because it's not mine. Then I had no attachment to what I gave. So when I started saving, it was the same. But I found that I was saving quite a lot because I had learned that I can survive with what I get. So for instance, when I was buying my first plot, I think I was saving over 50%. And then it got to a point where there was a lot of pressure. So I would give away 70%. By this time, I'm not still at 120. I've gone a bit higher. But I was giving much more than what I was spending. And I strained myself. I really strained myself. I remember sometimes I could not even afford to repair my shoes because I had a commitment to buying that first piece of land. But that then became my breakthrough, because with that land, I planted some vegetables. I did a few things that were generating more income, and that now increased my revenue. I remember by the time I was leaving to go to UK, I was not spending my earnings. I was spending the overflow from my earnings. So I had some vegetables I was selling. I had a side hustle. I'm a man of side hustles, even today still do side hustles. And so my core income by the time I'm 25 years old, I never needed it. So my core income just went direct to the bank. I remember the bank manager would call me, still a great man. He was the bank manager of Standard Bank. Before I left, he used to say to me, how do you manage not to touch the money you're putting in the bank, and you still seem to be doing well. And I said, I have chicken. By then I had 1,000 chicken. I was selling eggs to a restaurant in KICC called Tintin. I had a small bookshop where we were selling. I had a photocopying machine. So all these small things, they're the things that I would do with my savings. So my savings was not used for downward investment. I was not buying nice shoes, nice clothes and all that. I was buying things that can generate revenue. I remember, I think I was the first person to have a computer in Kitengela. So people traveled from the whole of Kitengela to come and get their documents typed, to come and get their photocopies, and that was my livelihood. And just the story continues. So as I moved on to go out of the country, I was able to pick opportunities very quickly. So the point I'm trying to say, saving becomes a lifestyle, just like tithing and generosity. It's not something that you get because you have a lot. You do it and it just becomes part of your living. It becomes part of your exercise.
No, I like what you're saying, and I still want to keep you before I hand over to my co-host.
Yes.
Still on that savings, because I still feel there's somebody out there who wants to grasp this.
Yes.
You have started saving,
yes,
and I hear you say that the savings, you did not use them to buy a new shoe or the latest this, the latest that.
Yes.
And a lot of our young people, what they want to do is that if they see Francis with a nice jacket, they also want to go and buy that Gucci jacket,
yes,
if it's a Gucci, whatever it is.
That's right.
And they spend a lot of their money in trying to please people.
Yes.
But I hear you saying your savings was not for these things, but you started to actually start to invest in side hustles.
Yes.
So somebody who is employed, what's the role of side hustles, and where should he or she start? And how should he be able to how will he be able to juggle between the side hustles and all that? And maybe you can just use for your example, because there's no one size fits all. How are you able to do this?
Okay, excellent. I think that's a very exciting question. So, first of all, your vision puts a demand in your life. And without vision, people perish or they cast restraint. They have no control. They just do whatever comes on their way. So you really need to have a purpose for living. Once you have a purpose for living, you drive towards that purpose. As you drive towards that purpose, the demands you get will start to set out your priorities. So you find some things are not a priority. You really, and I don't want to say that everybody has the same experience, but for me, I have never been bothered by what people really think about me materially. I've never been bothered about the attitude that people develop about me when I fail, because I've failed badly in life. I've really failed, but that doesn't take a precedence. What takes precedence in my life, and this is critical, is where am I going? Am I on the right track? I'm a God-fearing man. Am I still honoring my God? Yes, the world may see that as not God-honoring, but was that my intention? When I failed or when I didn't do the things I needed to do right, was that my intention? So coming back to your point,
I'll cut you short. You'll
Yes.
come back and tell us how do you deal with the failure, because many of us have failed.
yes,
I mean, how do you deal with the failure?
Yeah.
And we'll take a short break for a minute or two, and then we'll come back. And because that's very interesting. Your story is very captivating. We can talk about that for 7 hours, non-stop. You know, you have come a long way. So let's take a short break, and we'll come back and hear more from Professor Lucas and Helen. Helen will tell us about the small business that she has done. Thank you so much. And this is KBN, Kingdom Business Network. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
The Happy Life mission is supported by 3 pillars: rescue mission for the most vulnerable, quality Christian education, and lastly, first-class comprehensive medical care. Under the rescue mission is the Happy Life Children's Home.
Well, in the year 2002, we decided we want to jump in, we want to go and begin to help these children. Well, little did we know the need was even greater than we thought. There were 5, there were 10, there were 20, there were 100, 200, and now we are talking of close to 1,000 children that have been rescued through Happy Life Children's Home.
The Happy Life mission first and foremost started as Happy Life Children's Home, and I want to tell you that in the 20 years that we have rescued children, I have seen children come in all shapes and in all conditions, and it is amazing how much a transformation we see in these children.
The Nairobi campus has babies from the age of 0 to 3 years. Most of the children that come to Happy Life Children's Home come without a name. We give them a name and we love them. When the kids are of school age and they have not been adopted, they move to the Juja Farm campus where they live and go to school. In as much as many children are adopted, there are others who remain at Happy Life for a number of years. In the belief that children are meant to be raised in a family, for those who remain with us, we provide a family-like community setting. Under the education pillar is the Happy Life Christian School and Faith Premier High School.
The Happy Life Christian School started in a very interesting way because we started to realize our kids were getting to school-going age. We had a class at our Rosambu Center, and then we realized that the number was growing, and the next year we needed to have more. And I want to thank God that in 2013 we took 13 children to Juja and started what we call the Happy Life Christian School. And this school has grown. We have seen children come in playgroup and PP1, and some of them right now are in our high school. Others that have come through our hands are in different high schools in this country. And I love just the energy these children have. We have the Girl Guides and the Scouts. We have children that are very talented in music, playing the instruments, doing all sorts of things with their hands. They do a very good poetry. The school is really vibrant.
About 3 years ago, we also began high school, which is a Faith Premier High School, which is also in Juja South. Because again, these children, as they grow, some got to the place where they need to go to high school. And it's very challenging when you have 15, 20 children that are going to high school and they are students, to take them to different schools in Kenya. So we thought the best option was for us to start a high school. This year the school is in up to Form 3, and next year we'll be going to Form 4. And also we have just started now, according to the new education system, we have started the junior secondary school.
Under the comprehensive medical care pillar, we have the Jesse K Children's Hospital, which was established to provide quality healthcare for the body, mind, and soul.
We started building a hospital, and eventually when it was done, we realized, wow, this is a big hospital. We asked the government officials from the Ministry of Health to come and look at it, and they said, wow, this is level 4. We had actually applied for level 3 and they gave us level 4.
Due to the demand for quality, affordable care in Nairobi, the hospital has extended outpatient services to adults as well.
Later on, we were able even to open another clinic in Juja Farm. And our plan is that we will be able to open other clinics around, satellite clinics that will feed into the main hospital. The main hospital has an operating room or theater, there's a pharmacy, there's a lab, we have ultrasound, X-ray and all that. It's a good hospital, and people are coming in hundreds and getting help. We've done medical camps around in the hospital and even other places in the city and even outside the city in the rural areas where we have been able to support so many people, and we are really thankful for this vision that God gave us.
The hospital also offers ambulance services to those who need immediate medical attention and they are not within the hospital. The children and staff of Happy Life rely on the prayers and passionate support of our many volunteers, sponsors, and financial partners.
Well, welcome back to Kingdom Business Network, and what captivating, encouraging, motivating story from Professor Lucas and Helen. And before we went for break, Dr. Lucas was talking about savings and also how to deal with failure, because he said he has failed greatly. But before he finishes with that, Helen, what have you done in business? How has your journey been? Did you leave school and get work and settled in? Or how has it been? How was that journey as a young lady?
Yes, I left school and did training in catering and institutional management. And I actually got a job. Oh, I didn't get a job fast. I tarmacked for some time, and I found that it was not being, it was not being easy, because my dad tried to start me up with a sewing machine, and I could sort of make things and sell, but they were not selling quick enough. So, and I had to kind of pay for this machine. It was bought on hire purchase. So the agreement, yes, the agreement was that.
Do you remember how much it was?
I think I used to pay like 300 shillings a month.
Per month?
Yes. Wow. And that became very tough with the sewing business, because it wasn't working. And my dad was very tough. He needed me to pay that. So I came up with this idea of selling mandazi and samosa. So that I can raise the funds, because
which area is this now?
I lived in Nairobi West. Right next to Mombasa Road industrial area. So I used to go and make calls there, and I could see people selling mandazis, and I thought, I can do this, and actually my mandazis are very good. And they were really good. I can tell you that at some point I used to make one whole 12 packets of
in a day
of mandazis, and I even had boys to distribute them here and there.
Wow.
But it didn't start there, because I got a job, and I was a cateress of Makini School, a very up-end school. But very quickly I realized that the amount of money I was getting, actually I remember my first salary, I went to kujivinjari huko town, and by the time I knew, half of my salary was spent on the first day. And then by the end
how
of
much was that?
I don't know whether it was 1,500. I can't quite remember.
Yeah. And you thought it was a lot of money?
Yes, it was actually, but yeah. So I realized that at the end of the month, before the end of the month, I had to ask for borrow money.
Wow.
So in the meantime, I had employed a girl to do my side hustle, the mandazi and samosa. And I realized it wasn't also going as it was when I was doing it. So very quickly I realized I'm not for employment.
Okay.
So I stopped and went back to my mandazi and samosa, and that's how I grew it to one pack of unga every day.
A whole bundle.
A whole bundle, and a lot of samosas. A lot of samosas. I used to sell to different markets, send them with different young men. And over the years, obviously, like I said, I got married, then things happened, and I had to go to the UK at the end of it. And I also got married again, and I realized that I had to become a housewife.
Let's move, before we move from there.
Yes.
You got married.
Yes.
And you had children.
Yes.
How many?
I had a child.
One?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and then I lost a husband.
After how long?
After 2 years.
Just 2 years?
3 years. 3 years of marriage.
So 3, okay.
3 years of marriage.
So soon, yeah.
Yes, and then after another year, I got an opportunity to go to the UK with my friend.
So these 3 years, you're married, you've lost a husband. How did that leave you? How did you go through that? Because somebody could be watching, listening, and they're in grief. Maybe they have lost a loved one. How did you go through that to be where you are today, that you're smiling?
It was very, very tough. I must say that at some point I never knew I would ever smile again.
Wow.
And I had, I used to wonder why God would do this to me. If he knew he was going to leave me this shortly, why could he lead me to another, person who would live longer? I was still very young.
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
very, very naive. But thank goodness I came across a lady who gave me counseling, bereavement counseling, and I was able to kind of pull through. And also remember that God is God, whatever the case.
Yeah.
And He remains our Father. He remains loving. And these things are part of life.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I might talk about that in another area, about loss.
Yeah.
But just now I want to say how I continued with business.
Business,
I
yeah.
became somebody of business. So I go to the UK, I get married, and I realized my partner had 2 children, little ones. And I realized I had to stop working because I couldn't afford house help there. But very quickly I knew that I can't just be bringing up children and who are in ministry. So I looked around and I did my research, and I realized I could actually be working while bringing up my children. So what I did, I got children from the government. It's called foster caring.
Foster care.
So you don't
That's
bring...
in UK.
Yes, so you don't just bring your own,
Yeah.
you bring even those who are not able to live in their home, but you get to pay for it.
Okay.
So I actually became a businesswoman.
Like a
in that
daycare,
sense.
you know.
Not a daycare, they lived with me. I brought them up.
Oh, they don't go anywhere.
No,
They live with you permanently.
Yes, my home becomes
Like
home.
how many would you take?
3 at a go.
3?
3 and my 3,
Okay.
then I'll be,
A mother of 6.
another of 6. Yes.
This time you're married now.
I'm married, I have children, I have responsibilities, but I found that I couldn't just sit there and expect him to provide for all of us. I looked at what could I do that can help me to carry on my duty of bringing up the children, because it's a commitment.
Yeah.
I took the commitment of marrying someone who had 2 children, and I had 1, and I had to see what is it I can put on the table.
That's true.
So I quickly got into this, and it was very resourceful. I did it for 12 years.
Oh.
It was very, very rewarding, first of all, not just the
12
money element of it,
Yeah,
but the actual generosity of making a child have a home in your own home.
Yeah.
I found that very, very rewarding.
Who are these children? Where are the parents?
These children are children that cannot live in their homes for various reasons.
Okay.
Maybe their parents who are drug addicts.
Okay.
Or maybe their parents are sick. Or maybe they are unable to look
Yeah.
after them in terms of government expectation. And therefore they get removed from their parents
Okay.
to be given a better chance, so that because mtoto umleavyo ndivyo akuvavyo.
akuvavyo.
So the government has a very, very great value in investing in children, because it's the future.
And then after they grow up, where do they go?
So after they grow up, they they are taken. They belong to the government until they are 18, and
Okay.
actually they even are taken to university if they have an option, or
Okay.
college and everything.
Wow.
Yeah. So this time they're supported to go and live on their own.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's bridging the gap between when they are little. They could be as little as a day old
Yeah.
to 17 and a half or 18. Yeah.
That sounds like very fulfilling.
And I've looked after all this spectrum.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. So
Wow.
it is a very, very fulfilling thing.
fulfilling, yeah.
And it's a side hustle as well. And,
You're doing it in your house.
Very, very benevolent. People loved it. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I
Would
could
they
do it
allow you
again.
to instill your values, your Christian values and all that?
You have to be crafty about that, because obviously, obviously in the Western world they have their own ways, because they do train you on how to bring those children, and they actually tell you they are not your children, so you don't go there telling them that I bring them as my own. No.
Yeah.
This is the way our children are brought up. So you wear your hat for your own,
Yeah.
and our hat for these
Yeah.
other ones. So
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. This little boy, you're not supposed to tell them about, you to preach to them or anything.
Yeah.
But of course you can take them to church. This little boy, he used to be very, very stubborn. And then one day I would actually go to church and come out, because he couldn't stand it. So and he was too distracted.
Yeah.
So I would go back home and miss the service. At some point I contemplated saying, oh, this one I can't.
Yeah.
But God challenged me in a very big way. So you want to go and minister there where people are seeing you, and you don't see me here,
Wow.
So I had to keep the boy. So one time we are going back to church, and he's been very stubborn. And when we are on our way, he says to me, Helen, I didn't mean that.
Wow.
I didn't mean to be so bad. I meant that you need to buy me my own Bible.
Oh my goodness.
I can tell you, I couldn't wait for Monday morning
Yeah.
to go to that. So from that moment, it became his end of the day story, Bible, bedtime story.
Yeah.
And it never left his pillow. It
Wow.
stayed under his pillow, a picture Bible.
Wow.
And today I hear he has joined
Praise and worship.
praise and worship.
Wow.
Yes.
Amazing.
Yes, so
you
it's
transformed
very,
lives.
very rewarding. Paying is a side hustle as well, and it's very, very fulfilling.
Wow.
So it is it's
Wow,
amazing.
thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing that. Let's come back to Professor and hear more about how did you deal with loss, mistakes you've made, setbacks in a business, and I think there's something we're trying to develop on savings. Let's come back to you.
Thank you, and I'm so delighted. Helen is really quickening my memory on some practical things that people need to know, because sometimes somebody will say to you, I'm not being able to do anything. I have these children to bring up. My husband has left me. I don't know what to do. But as Helen was just sharing now, having been believed and gone through all the challenges, you still come up with a solution that is internal and that fits within your parameters. So you don't need to go outside your parameter to create wealth. You just need to be creative, and those of us who are Christian, you just need to pray for God to give you insight and direction on what to do. I'll conclude a bit about savings, and then I'll proceed on my challenges in life. I no longer call them failures. I actually call them learning lessons. I've come to learn that I never fail. Failing is not a vocabulary in my life. What I know is that sometimes I miss the mark, and by missing that mark, I learn a new lesson here and there. And I'll come back to that in detail. But finishing on savings, what I can say, and I say this with humility, is that we really need to force ourselves. Saving, giving, and tithing are not things that come naturally and in a voluntary way. Our human nature is not created to live like that. So we have to look at ways of forcing ourselves. So what I did and what has been done by the society is to create systems and structures that forces you to put some money aside. Many of them, they eat now and pay later. And it's okay. It's a way of saving, but you're saving for what you have already consumed.
Yeah.
And many people do that. They buy cars, they buy homes, they buy things on credit.
Yeah.
But there's another way, and I like it, we share with my good friend Bishop Dominic from New Jersey, where you say, that's what I want. You put the money aside until you get there. It's a goal point. It's like is a target. You're targeting. So you put the money aside to get to that target, and then you put another target in your life. So for me, I'm constantly putting targets and demands. Nowadays, I don't do them mainly because I want to build wealth, but it's become like a hobby. Every time I see a new mountain, I want to climb that mountain, so I put the targets.
Yeah.
Coming to challenges, when you become ambitious and when you have a vision and when you're determined on what you want to achieve in your life, one thing is that sometimes you become familiar, and that's where failure comes. Failure mainly comes with familiarity. You think, oh, I did this so well, I can do this, and I did that, and I can do that. And sometimes if you don't calculate properly, or if you don't mind the kind of people you bring around you, you either become the source of your own failure, or the people you bring in your life, or the commitments you make. So I'll just give a few illustrations. I got a conviction in the early 2000s, maybe around 2003, 2004, to start a Christian bank. And the conviction was from God. It was very, very clear from God. Yeah. And God even told me where I'm going to get the money for the bank, how the bank is going to be operated. I documented everything, and I came back to Kenya with a very clear document. So, but I didn't land the document where God wanted me to land it, because it was such an exciting document. I was wishing the president could listen to me or anybody else and then tell them, this is what we are going to do. This is how we are going to change the economy. And to be honest, anybody who saw that document, they just kind of came alive. It doesn't matter who you are, whether you have money or you don't have money. People came alive with the document and the vision.
That was 2003.
Yeah, 2003, 2004. I actually landed here in 2004, but I had started the process before coming. And I remember God really made all the necessary connections for me. I didn't need anybody. It was all nicely organized. But with my own excitement, I started now attracting anybody. So I had the strong spiritual part of it where we woke up every day, 5 in the morning. Anybody involved in the team used to meet at All Saints Cathedral, and we were praying for the vision. In between the day, then I'm meeting with businessmen and other leaders. But I fell on the wrong hands because this is an opportunity that anybody would want to have it. And to cut the long story short, I almost died for that vision. Almost died because of the vision. Today, people talk a lot about it, and many people may not understand what happened.
So you already started it, or you didn't
I
start?
came, registered a bank, so I have a registered bank here in the Registrar of Companies.
Even
a
now?
commercial bank. I still have everything. I even have a bank account for
Are you
it.
selling it, Dr. Mohammed? Might be interested in buying it.
Yeah, no, we can sit aside. No, God told me that I missed the first opportunity. Just like the children of Israel, they were taken for captivity for 70 years. And after captivity, God said he'll fulfill what he said. So I've kept everything, the vision. Incidentally, even if some banks and some organizations have tried to catch the vision, they have only done about 20% of what God put in my heart. And that 20% is doing so well. People fragmented the vision of the bank, and some people just took the digital part of it, and they're doing well. Others took the remittance part of it. One of the person that was working with me and I was mentoring just took one aspect. The other day he was telling me they're doing a turnover of 1.5 billion shillings every month. Not every year, every month. Just one aspect. So it's a big vision, and we have not given up
So when
on
you
it.
say you fell into the wrong hands, what do you mean?
Of course, I met sharks. You know, in business, you have all sorts of people. And when people saw the vision, they embraced me. Some gave me offices, some gave me vehicles, some gave me money, some became almost my companions for traveling, I know. Because that time I was going around the world like nobody's business. I would be in 3 continents within a week. And some people started coming with me. And of course, with all craftiness.
But they are not genuine.
They were not genuine. Actually, we were in New Jersey, and one of my good friends, Bishop Dominic, said, the company you have, be careful. I can't trust them. And when I got poisoned and I was about to die, I realized that what Bishop Dominic was giving me was a warning from God, and if I had taken it in good time.
So this time the bank is started or not?
No, we didn't actually open
did not
the
even
doors.
open
We didn't
doors.
open the
Okay,
doors
okay.
because we were at that stage where we were almost opening the doors. I had got 3 international investors, one from Malaysia, one from the US, and one from India. They had put in all the money that we needed, and we were just at that verge of opening the doors. We had bought all the core banking systems, all the structures. We had employed CEOs, general managers. We had employed literally everybody we needed in the bank. But then...
So what you're saying, somebody has to be very careful who you bring
That's right.
to your inner circle.
Yeah.
And who are your partners.
Yeah.
Because they can mess you.
Yes.
And you have to make sure you have a relationship with
Yes,
them. Let me
yes.
take you back a little bit where you said God gave you this vision.
Yeah.
And somebody else may be wondering, I mean, how do you get a vision from God? Did you hear the voice of God say, go start a bank or this business? Or
Yeah.
how did that come about?
Very interesting. You're touching now into a very core part of my life, and this has gone back to when I was about 13, 14. I gave my life to Jesus when I was 9. And at 13, I got a conviction of starting writing. I can show you very small notebooks, which I would buy for 20 shillings, and I would write everything that I felt I needed to do. But shortly after that, I realized it was more of conviction. Whatever I was writing was not just an idea that came to my mind. And if you come today, I have tons, hundreds of notebooks that I wake up and write what I hear God saying. What has been amazing is how many ticks you find. Maybe 90% of a full notebook would be ticks of things
So
that
is
have
that
happened.
inner voice that
It's
you
an inner
sense
voice.
there's
Yeah.
a deep inner voice, and you see them happening?
Now, what is amazing, I wake up and pray. I love prayer. Prayer is my most important part of my life, whether I'm dealing with government or business or whatever. And sometimes I even get warnings. I just hear the voice saying, okay, tomorrow don't do this, don't get involved with this, don't go there. And even that time of the bank, those voices were very clear. I remember my managing director, Francis, very clear that the people surrounding you are not right. And I hear God saying, you walk away from them. And I reason in me, because these people seem to be the people with the money, the people with contact, the people with network. My brother is telling me, don't have anything to do with them. And I can believe what he's saying. But then, God has given me this vision. Yeah. Most likely, he's the one who has brought these people. It's only now when I'm studying the book of Nehemiah that I realize that when God gives you a very clear vision and resources, you also get the Sanbarats, the Tobias, and the Arabs who come to divert you from the course. Yeah. Maybe I was not mature enough to be able to distinguish that. And he can tell you. He kept on, he said, now you, my MD used to say, you can't even now get time for me. This is how bad it's getting. I'm the implementing person of this vision, but you're talking with people who don't have anything directly to do with the business. You're spending time in Muthaiga Club, in Karen Club, and other places. That's not where the bank is going to happen. And I feel bad that I didn't take seriously, or even if I did, I think I was so divided within myself. And that's what always happens, whether it's a relationship in marriage, whether it's a business, whether it's a career, whatever it is. When you're so divided, my conviction is step back and don't worry about the loss, don't worry about the risk, don't worry about anything that's going to go bad. Just step back because you might end up in a better position by stepping back instead of being worried and anxious and doing things that you have no
step back.
Yeah.
That's very important.
Yes.
And what other lessons did you learn from, you said you don't want to call them failures,
yes.
Learning experiences, their challenges, their whatever setbacks.
Yes.
What other lessons have you learned? How to deal with what people so-called, setbacks, failures, things didn't work out. You have put in a lot of money, it didn't work out. People have mistreated you or stolen from you or taken advantage of you. How do you deal with that? Somebody could be listening and they have gone through that and they are wondering, do I quit? Do I kill myself? People have lost a lot of money until they killed themselves. So how did you maneuver through that?
I'll give two illustrations and I'll try to be quick because they're both gigantic. The second one, I had been sent by my apostolic father to Kisii to go and preach. And I took my daughter and a few friends from the school. She was schooling here. And when we go to the escarpments, I overlook the Longonot. You see the Longonot?
Yeah.
And I saw some of the things you see today, they were not there, and other things that have never happened. So I looked at that area and I saw a massive city with a high rise buildings, skyscrapers, with beautiful tourist destinations, with a big industrial park, with a railway, a fast, what do you call them, these high-speed railways, and a quick connection to the city of Nairobi, and it captured me. So I drove to Kisii, I ministered over the weekend. On my way back, when I got to the same position, I got a call from an advocate, and he says, Lucas, where are you? I would like to connect. He used to call me Daktari. I said, I'm on my way back from Kisii. We can connect tomorrow morning. He says, there's a land in Naivasha that is being sold. It's 2,400 acres. I would like you to consider this land because for me, I feel you are the right person. So remember, I saw it when I'm going. He calls me when I'm coming back.
Oh.
Within a very short time, we develop a big vision. I bring in people. Some people didn't even want to be part of the vision, but I convinced them. I had such a convincing vision of what needs to happen. I designed, I put down, I brought some partners from India and other places very quickly. But anyway, again, I almost forced people in because of their power, because of their capacity, because of their influence, and I ignored the inner voice. I'll not talk about it, but if you go on YouTube and Google Longonot Gate, I'm the first person who came with that vision. It was going to be one of the big smart cities in this country. We are talking of 2009, 2010. The last project is very recent, and so that for me, it's a white elephant because I was not allowed to actualize my vision by the people I brought in. Whether, again, I had weaknesses, or maybe I'm not very detailed and I'm not an implementer, but the point is, whatever I have If other people came with a good heart, you are able to walk. So you have to know the right people and the right heart. The last one is very recent. I go to Malindi, and it's just all big opportunities. Pineapples are growing on their own. You just need to do very little and it works. And I just share with my friends and say, this is an amazing opportunity. You need to come, you need to get involved. And of course, Helen and I are still doing very well. We were doing well then. But when I brought the people, the drought happened. You know, Kenya went through a massive
about
drought.
4 years, yeah.
And he said, oh, this is a scam. Just imagine. He just wanted to have our money and things like that. That one is a course of nature. I've given 3 illustrations. So the first one of the bank is immaturity. The second one is poor judgment. The third one is a course of nature. None of those setbacks are related to each other. What I'm trying to say to people, you may think I've now matured, I'll never make the same mistake, but you cannot control what is going to happen with judgment. You may make the wrong judgment. And you may also say, I've grown from making decisions. I now know how to make decisions. I'm very thorough. I have the right legal group. I have everything. But then you meet natural catastrophe like COVID. My brother lost a big business during COVID. He was exporting vegetables and things like that. He lost millions, I think hundreds of millions.
But you're still here. What you're saying, you don't have to die because you lost a business.
That's the point.
And also what I hear you saying is that you're also growing.
Yes.
The more you do business, the more you're maturing. There are mistakes you do at the beginning in the early stages that you may not make those mistakes today. But again, don't judge yourself so harshly. Oh, why didn't I do this? I should have seen this. If you never saw it, it's just like somebody involved in an accident and they thought, I should have seen that car.
Yes.
I should have seen that, junction or something.
Yeah.
Why did I have
Not
to
see
do it?
it.
I mean, but you never saw it.
And you had the accident.
We all have a blind spot. I don't know, Dr. Mongai, what you're hearing.
No, I hear the same, and the only thing I would like to ask him before we close is just give us one success story. Okay. Because maybe the viewer has heard about the weaknesses and the setbacks and the failures. Yeah. One success story.
Actually, not one. I'm struggling.
You want to give us
I'm struggling to decide because I've had so many. Actually, for every story that has not been successful, I've had like 10 or 20 within the same line that succeed. It's just that people don't talk a lot about success, they talk a lot about failure. And I'll just start with my entrepreneurship and what you call wealth creation. I started very simple, just like my lovely wife. I was also selling sambusa and ujimoto in a Mutumba context. That's how I started my business. And nobody would have ever imagined that somebody doing that kind of business could then work with international agencies like World Bank. Today, I was leading, we've just finished a multi-billion project, and we were the lead consultant.
Multi-billion?
Yeah, I, Lucas Jenga, I'm not saying this with pride, the organization I was leading was the lead of the whole project. And today, when they're contemplating doing other projects, we are a point of reference. You can go the same thing to my speaking ministry, which or rather business, because it's a business. I get a lot of revenue by just public speaking. Wherever you go, whether you go to the United States or you go to the United Kingdom, Germany, Hong Kong, I get invited. Not to do anything else. People pay tickets, they pay hotel rooms, they pay everything that needs to be paid for, and I get beautiful honorariums. I was not good in English, but I started on a very small base and just built that confidence over the years, and God has given me platforms which are not ordinary. Some of you could have seen recently, I was with the president of this nation. There's so many people in the diaspora. For them, out of the whole diaspora to choose 3 of us, and I happen to be one of them, it's a success story. And so time fails me to say of the opportunities that I've had, again through the same journey, engaged with Her Majesty, the late Her Majesty, the Queen. Many people, even British people, never got those kind of opportunities. And you don't just get what they call the garden parties where you go and meet. You go to the Paris and you sit and have a personal engagement. So this I see as successes that I can only attribute to the goodness of God and the faithfulness of God. For me, I never allow any of this to carry me. I'll always want to remain humble, whether I succeed or don't succeed, whether I have challenges or no challenges. I believe that's the best thing that any human being can have, either wealthy or struggling to build wealth or not started the journey. Humility is a great principle, is a great base for everything that we need in life.
Maybe you can open up a little bit on Deed Institute and what we have been able to do, the impact we have made among the youth. How many have we trained?
That's true.
Okay. So as my wife says, Deed Institute has a bigger, it's an acronym of Diaspora Institute of Employability and Enterprise Development. So what we are saying here is not just a theory. We train, and we have been training across the whole of this country in 8 counties. I think we have trained over 7,000 young people. All the skills. So somebody yesterday said that you're a jack of all trades. No, we just we give as many skills as possible. So we do hairdressing and beauty. We do media. We do motor vehicle mechanics, solar PVC, fashion and design, and the range goes on of these practical courses. But what distinguishes us from all the institutions in this country is that our focus is not in the academics. Our focus is getting a young person from the village or from the street or from the slum, and within less than 3 months, single young parent, teenage parents, and within a few weeks, they are already having a skill that can start earning them a revenue. For instance, I've seen some of our students who start learning today, and next weekend they're in their village braiding hairs or hair or doing other things because we have given them the basic skills. So that for us, everywhere we go now around this country, we might find young people in Wajir, Mandela, Kisumu, Kakamega, Bungoma, and these young people get excited because their lives have been changed and their lives have been impacted, and that gives us a lot of fulfillment, but it also answers a lot of money.
Wow. I think we'll have you come back and talk more about that.
Yes.
Before you give us your closing remark, maybe Helen can give us her closing remark.
Yeah, well, just to say that it's been very nice being here and being able to open up and to pass a word that could help somebody out there, and we'll be looking forward for more. Let us continue to have a positive outlook in life. The glass is half full, and if we continue that way, we will be able to see the places where we can anchor and be able to benefit, not just for ourselves, but for our young people, for the future, and also to maintain posterity. Let us remain hopeful in all that we do. Whatever is within your plate, do it with diligence, enjoy it, love it, and do it like there is no other thing, and you will succeed.
Amazing. I like how you close it. You will succeed.
Yes.
And that's why we are here, to tell you you will succeed. That's why we bring these people to tell you that you will succeed. Professor Lucas, please, your closing remark. If you can look at that camera and give us your closing remark.
Thank you very much. I think this is an amazing opportunity. The whole idea behind sharing this is to give you hope. I said hopelessness does not help anybody. And I want to tell you, there's nothing in life that can complete your journey for desire for more, for desire to actualize yourself and grow. So don't feel as if you're far much left behind by some people that you think are very much ahead of you. Everybody is aspiring every day, whether it's the president of this nation, whether it's the president of the United States of America, or a child that has been born. We are all reaching out. So you are somewhere along that journey of reaching out, and what you don't have today, you might have it tomorrow, and it will not be as important as it looks today. So be calm, give yourself that posture of kindness and goodness and generosity, so that every day of your life will count in eternity. Thank you very much.
Wow, every day will count, and for sure you will succeed.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Francis, any closing word?
Well, dear viewer, just stay engaged. I will keep on bringing these wonderful, engaging talks on wealth creation and in the Kingdom Business Network. And for sure, as Professor Lucas Njenga has said, there is hope. In the midst of all that is happening in this country, there are people who are still making it in the midst of all this. So you too can make it. And God bless.
Thank you. I like that. You too can make it. Never listen to anybody and think they are special. No, nobody is so special. All of us are special, if anything. So you will also make it. Thank you so much. Thank you, all of you that have been following and sending your comments. We don't have time for that today, but I thank you so much that you have been with us. And if you have any questions, comments, please keep sending them. We'll look at them in the next program. Emmanuel from David Emmanuel says, sending greetings to Professor, saying, great insight, Professor. I remember your sermon and Borehole's testimony at Majestic City. I think you are speaking there sometime. So thank you so much for today. That's all we have. Keep moving, keep going. You will succeed. God bless you. See you next.